Good afternoon or good evening. We are here for our Henry County Board of Ethics meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. We're here in our Board of Ethics conference room. Roll call, District 1, Ethel McConnell.
Present.
District 2, Craig Simmons, Vice Chair. Absent. District 3, Lauren B. Smith.
Present.
District 4, Felicia Harrell.
Present.
District 5, Self Desmond McLean. Tax Commissioner appointee Cynthia Cournot. Antonio Taylor. Here. And Clerk of Superior Court selected alternate members are vacant and vacant. Our agenda, we're going to call to order and we're going to do the board vote for approval of meeting minutes for 5/14/24. I get a motion to approve those minutes.
I make that motion.
Motion made by Lauren B. Smith. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll approve. Any opposes? All right. It's unanimous. It's 5-0. General updates by our ethics administrator.
Board. I just have two quick updates. I have secured appointments at the Superior Court for our ethics hearing scheduled for July 30th and the 31st. So we will be in courtroom A from 9 to 5 on the 30th. And we will be in courtroom C from 9 to 5 on the 31st.
Do you mind repeating that?
July 30th will be in courtroom A from 9 to 5. And July 31st will be in courtroom C from 9 to 5. Questions?
Don't anticipate this lasting all the way from 9 to 5, do we?
No, we do not, but we have to work. Just, I don't foresee it. My second and last on the agenda is, so when we return from our ethics conference, Nav Explosive, I reached out to them. They were one of the most having a lot of issues with that. And not just use cookie cutter as far as power maintenance officers. So we do have a presentation, but they do. I have a contract that's, we kind of got it down to, it's a 5-course subscription. So depending on what we're going to be needing, Arisha's the one that's looking into what she wants as far as our 5-course subscription. But initially it was going to cost us $28,592.66 a year. That's on a 3-year contract, but I was able to get them to give us a discount. So we're actually saving $8,291.87. So yearly it would cost us $8,050.79. Opposed to a 2-year contract that would cost us $24,000. $360.95. So yearly, if we went with the 3-year contract, it would save us about $4,060 a year. If we did the 3-year instead of 2-year contract. The Navex Global, we've kind of played around in it, and it does offer more monitoring as far as like monitoring each employee that works for the county that has to take the training. It also sends them reminders and lets them know, hey, you're 5 days away from your training that you do. And it reminds them like every day for the last week of, hey, you're training, you need to take your training. Once they take the training, then they do sign off on that, and we do get record of that. So in itself, the system keeps the track of every employee that needs to be trained, which is something that Power DMS does not do. Power DMS also has very minimal online training options as far as for us. We can only upload like maybe one or two videos. It doesn't really offer us a lot of ways to make it our own. And Power DMS is not controlled by us. We would get more control without your restrictions if we were going with Navex Global to have our own online ethics training instead of using the Power DMS that's controlled by the county, because we got very strict restrictions with Power DMS because it's not our own program. We don't own it.
What's the price difference?
Well, Power DMS, we don't pay for Power DMS. Power DMS is owned by the county, it's the county's program. So Navex would be our own system that Bridget and I have control over what goes on there, when it goes on there, how often we can use it. We just have to set up all employees that are included, in by the SB 22 that is covered by them, the departments and so on. But no, we don't pay for Power DMS. It's just we have a lot of restrictions when it comes to Power DMS because it doesn't offer everything we need in order to provide a good online ethics training.
My question in this, is this, the way I read this is this is a training program.
Correct.
So this is just teaching you guys or us how to create this platform that is our own, right?
So the program itself is we can go in and create our own ethics training videos, but they also have a library with lots of stuff that we can create. It's like a template, but we can make it our own.
Okay.
And this would be more for when we do the year on, year off training for the ethics training. So like this year, it's an off year, so we have to do it virtually. For the bigger departments, this is going to be a bigger help for the fire department, for the police department, for the elections department. They have a lot of like part-time employees that come in. So this program, I recommend the program because it's going to help those bigger departments that is hard for us to get to, because they have such a revolving door of new employees coming out all the time. So I recommend the program. After hearing when we're at the ethics conference, most of the like Fortune 500 companies, they all use this program. And, we talked to several people there about it and like, how do they like it? And, they rave about it. So I reached out to them and we returned from the conference and we were able to have access to like it's like a demo, I guess you could say, and which is Bridget is going to show you in a minute. We both like it. We've discussed it. We think it's a great program, but ultimately the decision is for boards.
So I guess my next question then is this going to be like does this include, I mean, in the terms here, it said something about incorporate customer's logo, policy, custom certificate acknowledgement, specific information. I mean, essentially incorporating a brand. It has a lot of branding terminology in here. Does this include like a platform where it's keeping track of cases, it's keeping like report and demographic information about each case that we hear, or is this strictly for training?
This is strictly for training. This is strictly for training. It has nothing to do, we have like our case management system, that's what we use to keep up with our cases, anything like that. This is strictly for a virtual option, online training. That's all it's for. And, I mean, they do have separate case management system, but when we first started, this was the company that I discussed in my interview, but it was just, the price is too high for the case management. So that's why we went with case management we have. But this is strictly for training. That's all it's for.
Okay.
Okay, I have a couple questions, few questions. For the NAVEX, the translation, will it come in different languages? So is it gonna be mostly video presentation, so it's audible? Or is it gonna be portions where folks have to read, and is it gonna come in other languages?
As of right now, I think it is audible, right? Correct? Isn't that right?
So that, I was gonna flesh through it in my presentation, but I'll flesh through it now, because I guess it just kind of makes more sense. At least I feel like I'm talking to your man. So you actually get to choose how you want to take the training. When you first log in, you can say, I wanna do it audible, I wanna do it, just reading, they get to choose. And then they can also choose the language. So it can be English, we can work with them to have it in Spanish, which we probably would, whichever we need. I'm gonna actually walk through it with you all. I'm gonna do almost like a demonstration so you can see what it looks like from an employee side.
And then it says on there for language, you have to send the translation yourself. Are they provided a translation for the materials you're gonna provide? Or will you have that translated prior to the upload?
I don't know that, but I think translation wouldn't be a problem just because you speak Spanish.
And then the other part, with the NAVEX Global versus the Power DMS, are the bigger differences your ability to manipulate program, not manipulate in a bad way, but put in information that's lacking? And is it also the prefabricated materials, videos, slides and things of that nature? Does that have a larger library of those items for you?
This NAVEX has a larger
Okay.
library.
Power DMS doesn't have a library at all. So Power DMS is almost it's a system the county uses that goes across all departments. So even our online training that we have now, the virtual training we've created, they just put it on the platform, so employees have access to it. They don't help us create it, they don't help us, it's just access. But it doesn't provide the monitoring, just to dive a little more deeper into what Gloria was saying, and what this program also provides that I like is, it actually provides almost a summary of how employees are doing. What type of questions are they missing? Where do they need more training in? It provides a breakdown of how they're doing per department. So does it appear that our fleet department are missing more conflicts of interest than gifts? Does it appear our transit department is missing more gift questions? Because it helps us cater, okay, when we do in-person training that off year, what other things do we need to tailor for that specific department?
And that's something that Power DMS lacks too.
Our DMS doesn't create anything.
Okay, got it.
I think my big question from a maintenance standpoint, if something go wrong with it, do we know they turnaround time with like repairing if something happened with it?
I think they said they provide what type of support?
Yeah, we would have like a support team.
They have their own separate support team. The only thing that they did not, and
Cause I think the big question, do they outsource that? Cause when they outsource maintenance, it can be a long time. I think that's one question we need to, do they outsource it? They outsource it, that's something we really want to think about.
yeah, because even though you can have a quick turnaround and still be outsourcing it, which could be a problem in itself.
Especially with technology, when they outsource it, it usually take time.
Now, this is not the only program that I looked into. I got with technology. Do you all remember what everybody was required to do, that cyber training? And I really liked that because it locked employees out of their computer. If you didn't do it, it locked you out. You're unable to move forward. But after meeting with Jamie, that's only a feature of the program that they use, and the program that they use is only for cyber related issues. So it couldn't work for us.
Is there a limitation of the number of employees that can use this program before there's an upcharge, or is it?
So as of right now, this quote is for 1,700 employees.
And we have, how many?
I mean, we have,
We estimate about 1,500. And we can always add or take away.
Yeah.
So what's the cost for additional? Is it by the 100s, by the tens, by the one?
They were they didn't want to put themselves in a box as far as pricing because they really wanted to work with us.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. When you guys do it, or we do go for that, I would make that unlimited, and I'm pretty sure they'll go with that. Cause we won't be much over that. We have 1,500 people now.
I guess my biggest question is, as far as doing the training and the accountability, what are we putting in place? I mean, if we're expending this amount of money to the training, and we're already at an 80-something% of getting people to complete training as it is. I guess if we're monitoring people, I understand getting the additional information, but the cost of that, what, as far as, I guess the best way to ask is, what are we going to see? Never mind, I'm gonna think about this a little bit more,
Can I piggyback off of your question?
please.
The modules, so there's a full length and then there are 6 micros that replace the full length. How many courses do you foresee having for that?
So right now I foresee 3. I thought he actually was on quotas for 3, so I guess he threw an extra one in there. But we talked about doing boards having their own. We talked about safety having their own, and then having a general one.
So
That sounds good in general, cause you put anything under the general, well, everything don't fit.
So we gonna get a quote for 3 and they actually did 2 extra for us. Because we did talk about like a refresher, like 6 months into the year. So we did talk about that. So they did throw in 2 extra for us. I mean, if the board thinks that the price is too high, I can go back and see if I can get them a little lower.
It is a very robust system, probably because this is what they're built for, is this type of thing. Gloria mentioned that a lot of the companies, when we went to the training, a lot of the Fortune 500, yeah, that they use this a program, but it was some smaller companies too that were using this program. It was I think a local grocery store chain that are only exclusive to.
It's gonna be hard to find quality that monitor the way they monitor for that price. Like, when you think about that price, it's not that expensive, honestly.
I mean, I guess my biggest thing is, my question is, you're gonna have all of this information about what the employees are doing and being able to break it down. But at the end of the day, what are we able to do with that information?
Cater on in-person training.
Okay,
So it gives us the data we need to know where the issues are in each department, so that when we have the in-person training, now I give them examples for their department based on what I believe that their issues would be in their department, but this will help me actually know. Because you don't know until somebody files a complaint, but if we're not getting the complaints, there's still issues. That just means nobody's calling them.
And we really gotta, I'm sorry, we really gotta understand this is something we really need, because training is very important, because we're a new ethics board. This probably not something that we can even like tiptoe around. This gonna be important. So, cause what we did, I think this is better, and if you can monitor it, years down the line, it's just gonna put us in a different place. I think it's really needed, honestly.
I think it's definitely needed, but I guess my question is, at the end of the day, if they don't do it, what can we do about it?
If they,
You know,
the training itself.
Yeah, like if the county, like, at the end of the day, if what the Board of Ethics can do is publicly, put it in the newspaper that we're, filing an ethical complaint, or it's been founded, or fine them $1,000. If these folks don't want to complete the training and they don't complete the training, I mean,
And it becomes a bigger issue because statutorily, they're required to do the training. The board is required to provide the training and they're required to do it. So how we've been doing it now is if they don't do it, we're contacting their supervisor. If we don't have a follow-up after that, we're contacting the county manager to let her know the county is out of compliance with the code.
okay,
I think we're gonna have a better response this time. I think anytime you do something new, you're gonna get pushback. I think what you guys went out and did and just a few people I talked to, I think we're gonna have another response. I don't think it's gonna be as difficult.
And I think we're already seeing that
I was gonna
response.
say, to be fair, they're already there. They're at what, 80 something or 90%? So, yeah, I think with anything, you
That's
get off to
great.
a rocking start, but once they got going, they were fantastic.
80%.
And now you got the city manager buy-in, you got, the different department buy-in, you have.
First time to
Yeah, so-
upgrade and give it to them the right way.
I think it was just initial understanding of how it works, what it was about. And then it was further embraced and they got to know our representatives. And I think they explained it in such a great way. They answered questions. And because you gotta remember, they've done such a great job that folks are actually contacting them to make sure they're in compliance. And so I think it's been well received. I don't see it being an issue. It's just a matter of it. As far as the need, it's required. It's not about the need, it's required. It has to happen. And if this program makes more sense, then it's up to the board to decide.
Cumulatively, I think it all, well, for me, for efficiency. So if you're getting stats about what each department needs, that way you all can go in there. Okay.
Yeah, that's priceless.
I want to show you all, if you're okay with it, what our virtual platform looks like now compared to what it could look like with this program. So first of all, disclosure, we are not IT, so don't laugh at it. It gets the job done for what we need. Elections have used it consistently. And so, and it works for them. They've actually said they had no problem whatsoever.
So like I was saying, it's with efficiency. The thing is I don't want you all elongating this thing, spending time training. I mean, if we can cut down 8 months of training down to 5 months of training, that would be good, especially if you knowing how to target, your stats.
So this is what, if you all remember, a couple of months ago, we talked about beta testing the virtual. This is what they get now. It's about 20 minutes long. And it's really just me, you can't hear it, but me introducing the board. It goes through the slides of who the board is, what the board does, and then it jumps right into generally what the code is. And then it talks about the definitions.
Henry County is seeking to do or does business with Henry County, has interests that may be substantially affected by.
So this is what they see now. It talks about each one of the violations and how it is applied.
As you are.
So it gets the job done for what we need to get done.
Violation of this rule.
But I want to show you all what this program I told y'all not to laugh.
I like it.
What the program that we want to do is very much more engaging. It has quizzes in it. They can't move to the next one until they complete it, things of that nature. So. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, let's make sure. So.
My biggest thing, when we turn over, I don't want people coming behind us have to worry about things we didn't do. Oh, we leave
So you
it,
can see
leave it in the better place. Need that.
You can see the first thing that actually comes up is language. So we'll hit English. You can choose whether you want to take the training in video, audio, or silent. This works very well because people can do it on their phone. They can do it wherever they are and not interrupt people. If they just need to read it instead of actually listening to it, they're able to do that as well. This is the introduction, just telling them before you begin, the content features. Instructional uses. This one is just, and this is an example of a pre-made video. So they have a content library of hundreds of videos. If we wanted to use this type of video, we can go in and say, hey, we want to use this type of video. We want to cater it to us, and we're able to do that.
I think everyone at work has it all figured out when it comes to ethics and compliance. Think again. Everyone has questions at some point. Can I do that? Should I do that? Will it violate rules, be unethical, or worse yet, violate the law? Well, you're about to get some answers. Take a look at a situation that can create a what now moment for any of us, and think about how you would handle it. So, you found yourself in a tricky situation. Your coworker just did an on-site visit for a potential vendor. Their quality is good, their prices are unbeatable, and he wants you to agree they would be the best choice. But as he tells you more about his visit, he mentions details that you think could be red flags, like potential safety violations, workers who look extremely fatigued. You're worried there could be some human rights violations. Your coworker assures you it's fine and asks you not to say anything to the organization about your concerns. Don't worry, he says. I'll handle it with the vendor directly, he says. We'll stay on schedule, meet our targets, and get our bonuses, he says. But you're not sure. Even though you're not the one who actually saw anything, it doesn't feel right. Now, what do you do?
So
What do you do now? There are some simple questions you can ask yourself to help you navigate a situation like this one. Continue reading to learn more. What do you think? Read the following question and choose the best answer.
So this is what I like about it. It's much more engaging. It invokes thought process. And let's say we read the question and we thought the answer was B and we submitted. That's not right.
Again,
It's gonna make you continue until you got the right answer, like most of these training modules that we all probably have taken. But what the system is doing on the back end is recording those wrong answers that's being submitted.
you're right. The correct answer is C. The most important criteria to use when facing an ethical dilemma is whether you think a behavior is unethical, violating either our policies or the law. Continue reading to learn more.
And it separates the stats with each department, right? Or just in general.
In general. Now, I don't know if I can go in and say, but it will also be assigned by different departments too. So because even though it's in general, I will still know by department because it's going to be assigned by department.
Okay.
So that was an example of
Right.
the fourth thing.
Sometimes they're minor and other times they're more significant.
So it's a lot more robust. Do we have something now? Yes, it's been getting us through. Is this more robust and allow us to expand our virtual module, especially if we're gonna do 1 year on, 1 year off? Absolutely.
And then when they start and finish, do they have the opportunity to restart where they dropped off instead of starting all the way over?
That's a good question. I don't know. We can ask that if they have an opportunity to restart. I know they can't just get through, but I asked that question.
I would definitely say break it into the 6 micros, because when you do a full length of 2 hours of information, it gives them an opportunity to, if they have to break to make dinner, if they have to break to, drive from one location from their kids' practice to another location home, it gives them opportunity to complete the micro sessions in order, but not all at one time.
Right.
So they can just pick up where they left off.
This is the other video that the representative, I asked him, could you give us something that we can show our board? A kind of general overview of the program, and this is what he provided.
Effective ethics and compliance training programs should satisfy federal and state training mandates and improve your organization's culture. NAVIX Engage, NAVIX's online ethics and compliance training solution, provides legally vetted and topical content that helps you with compliance and employee adoption. Here's a look at the robust catalog of training, which is legally vetted by Baker McKenzie. Content customers are familiar with, like ethics and code of conduct, cybersecurity, bribery and corruption, and much more. Navix Engage, which distributes business critical training content through People Hub, seen here, built to make the learner's experience with all ethics and compliance related tasks easy, engaging, and repeatable. In this example, we're looking at a customized version of People Hub for American Health System. Like any organization, they will want a training to feel industry specific and make sense to their staff. By accessing this personalized portal, employees can quickly get up to date with the required trainings like workplace harassment. With these trainings, your employees can't hit play and just walk away. They're actually required to listen, watch, and interact with the scenario-based courses. Like this one, where the learners have to click each card to see different real-world situations they might find themselves in. They will also be required to answer questions throughout in order to reinforce what is being explained on screen and check for comprehension. The information actually sticks and gives your learners actionable advice on how to handle difficult situations regarding violations to your policy. And once your employees have completed courses, their activity is automatically logged in a completion report so that you can hold them accountable to what they've learned. At a glance, you can see how employees have completed, perhaps in progress, or are overdue. Now, you might be asking the question, what if as a company, we have some specific industry information that we want included in these courses? Is it difficult or even possible to get that changed? Well, Navix built a course customizer application right into the tool just for these situations. Anytime you purchase a course through Navix, you'll be able to access that course within the platform, allowing you to make quick and easy changes to things like the logo, the title of the course, reference documents, pertinent screens, and information on how to report violations of their policy. The CEO intro provides a window into the importance of the individual training, making the experience feel more inviting and welcoming, and reinforcing the purpose behind the training. The content itself is able to be edited painlessly. If your company doesn't believe you need a certain section of the training, it can be removed. Or if you need to make specific changes within the text of the course, those can be changed as well. In this example, the customer wants the text and images to speak to healthcare workers. So we can change language like the workplace to read our healthcare system. And also change an image to have a doctor and nurse conversing so that it lands better with the audience. After making that change, the audio is muted so that the text doesn't read differently from the audio. And voila, it's updated. And all these changes can be made whether the content is Navix hosted or if a customer hosts their own learning management system. The new Navix Engage standard reports in Power BI will help customers quickly identify trends and areas of need within their compliance training program. Utilizing the latest course formatting allows all information on question answers, time in course, and many other data points to be captured to perform deep analytics on your training program. On the Course Detail tab, you can see at a glance a snapshot of your training data with easy-to-use filters to look at what's most important to you so you can more easily track trends to mitigate risk across your business. We can look at scores and completion data by time frame, risk domain, topic, and more. Now I can quickly spot trends and learn about my program, and I don't have to build anything complicated. For example, I can easily look at average question scores, average seconds per question, and average question attempts all in this report to make sure that I am ensuring our training program is as effective as possible. Now let's look at the question page, where there is individual question reporting for admins to drill into the impact each question is having on employee learning. We can see average time spent on each question, how often they've answered correctly, and better understand the impact our training has on our people. Navix Engage offers better, easier to use analytics on top of world-class content. We can leverage the versatility of Power BI to help customers understand their data to improve company culture and retention of high-performing employees. By using compliance training by Navix Engage, you're empowering your employees to do the right things right and making your lives easier by using a trusted leader in Navix while getting the power and flexibility to make the training content your own.
I think that video just kind of summarizes what we learned that this program does. I think for us, the board by statute has two requirements: train and investigate. So training being a huge piece, we want to spearhead it in the best direction we can. The only thing I didn't like about this program is they cannot sign the ethics form through the program. So the solution and workaround that we kept up for that is on the last, almost like slide of the program, having a link for them to click on that can take them to where they need, whether it's Adobe Sign, DocuSign, whatever it is, to actually sign the code of ethics.
And that's something we can have them put in for us.
They said they can put the hyperlink in.
Our employees, this is a mandate or required training for employees, county employees. Is this training restricted really during their business hours, so they're getting paid while they're doing this training since it's work related? And if so, are we gonna do time modules so they're not wasting the clock?
That is a good question. I would get with HR about that because I think that's really something that they would have to determine if they're allowed to do it on the clock or on the clock, or I don't think we can require when they do it, just as long as it's done.
But we can restrict the time so they don't bleed it out 3-4 hours. It's 2-hour training.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be off the clock if it's virtual though. Pretty sure.
I think that will probably be something that HR make a determination on.
Pretty sure.
It's required.
If it's required for their job, they should get paid for
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna get sticky.
I mean,
Because I know, when we have to do the
It's during work
cybersecurity, it's during work hours.
And it's how long is their training?
We haven't built it. So it's however we built it. We can build it, like Felicia was saying, to do micros and have.
how long is it now?
Now, 3 hours, but anywhere between 2.5 to 3
2.5 to 3 hours.
in person. When we have the virtual for elections, those are 20 minutes. When we do in-person elections, it's an hour. When we do in-person police, it's like an hour and a half. The in-person general is much longer because we really do go through videos and examples and there's lots of questions. It just stretches it out. Any other questions?
All right, well, I guess were there any more general updates by the ethics officer? Anything else?
If it's officer or administrator,
Oh, well, I thought y'all kind of tag team that.
it's more for me, yeah.
Okay,
We can take it.
I am the responsible.
all right, so we'll move on to agenda, item D, general updates.
We already went through the virtual training platform, so I'm not gonna go through that. Oh, I did want to mention 2 more things I had in my notes about that. They have a test down and test out feature. So the test down feature is while they're going through the module, if they're getting answers to the questions correct, it allows them to go straight to different sections. If they're getting them wrong, then they gotta stay in it. The test out is if they get perform well on the quizzes, then they skip to the end of the module. And they're provided a summary of the key learning points instead of going through the instructional and application sections. So this is helpful in my opinion, because if people are retaining the information, then they don't have to sit through everything again because you can test out of it.
I have one just unrelated, well, it's related, but not necessarily to training. Do we have any sort of marketing budget? Because we're tasked with training and investigating, but a lot of people don't even know that this board exists. I mean, it's only been in place since 2021. I mean, people that I know have lived here for 30+ years that I've spoken to recently that didn't know Henry County even had a board of ethics.
We don't have a marketing per se. Our budget is kind of split up between professional services and other services, but we don't have a marketing budget per se, but I mean, we can use. The only marketing we've done is pretty much just when we did the Halloween trick or treat on the square. We've got our Facebook page, our YouTube page. I've reached out to different Henry County Facebook pages and they've kind of, gave our information out on their pages, but as far as marketing goes,
Yeah, most of
we don't
the
have a billboard or anything.
marketing.
Yeah, well, that was my next breath when I was traveling back from Florida. I actually saw a billboard in Alabama for Henry County Police Department looking for people to work. So not saying we need a billboard, but as far as getting out that we actually have a Board of Ethics and, you know, spending a little bit of money on Facebook marketing, on Nextdoor, on those platforms to let people be aware. I mean, obviously, training is certainly important and we need to build upon that. But I think we need to at least let people know that this is a thing. It hasn't been a thing for most of their lives. And now this is, you know,
I think one of the biggest things when it comes to ethics boards is word of mouth. If you look at the city of Atlanta, a lot of people don't know the city of Atlanta have an ethics board until trouble comes. DeKalb County is not until trouble comes. Gwinnett is not until trouble comes. So we don't want to wait until trouble comes. However, you know, is that something that we really want to kind of utilize our resources in for marketing? I think it's more the people that will be truly concerned with it are the business minded people. Just, you know, regular constituents, I am not sure whether it would be beneficial unless they see that it's directly affecting them. So that's kind of six in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
And I think what we've been doing is more of the community outreach to kind of get it out
Right.
there. So when we know they're gonna have like events for the county and trick or treat on the square, where there's gonna be a lot of local people that actually come out, bring their kids. That's kind of what we've been doing.
I think a good free, I don't mean to cut you off, good free marketing is the neighborhood app, the Nextdoor app. I think
Yeah.
create a flyer and put it in there. Those are the people that are interested in what's going on here. I think that would be a great idea to create a flyer and every week, put it in there.
I think too, the misconception, you don't want it to look like a board that's a group of individuals that's holding up guillotines and pitchforks saying, okay, we
No.
are the ethics
To your
board.
no, but
know.
you want people to be aware that it exists like that. That's the thing that I've had a lot of people that I've seen that are making complaints online that I'm like, report it. You know, if you have documentation, file a complaint. And they are legitimately, I had no idea that that was a thing, you know, that I could do. I mean, I think it's just a manner of getting the message out there, like through Nextdoor is the biggest one that I'm aware of, that, you know, everybody has their own little neighborhood and Nextdoor is the worst of humanity, but it is what it is. I just think we need to have some sort of presence, you know, in the community as far as letting people know we exist.
Well, there's no outreach greater than the Henry Herald, so.
That's right. Full page,
You'll see no ads in the Henry Herald, I'm sure.
we'll get you a full page ad, right?
A lot of folks.
If you ladies like introduce yourselves, like I'll take turns, say something about yourself with a flyer, I really think it'll start resonating. I think that's a good place to market it, honestly. It's free too.
I mean, and I'll be more than happy. I have a marketing degree. I'll be more than happy to do any kind of marketing, like if you guys have materials, flyers, whatever. But I definitely think getting some sort of information, even taking it to the nursing home, taking the paper and taking it to the nursing home. I mean, just getting the information out there because all of those folks are that's all they're gonna tell everybody that calls them that week is this nice little lady brought me this information about Henry County Board of Ethics. So I mean, getting word of mouth is really important. Like I don't have any opposition to the training. I think it's wonderful. I think we're doing great considering you just rolled out the beta version. But certainly looking towards the future, my only concern is that making sure that we have a structured tier system in place if people do not complete the training and that there is follow through, whatever that may be from the county, whether that's the county manager or whoever is on my end. That is my only concern as far as moving forward with it.
Those are two different topics, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else on the virtual training before we move to the meeting with human resources? So I was able to meet with Human Resources. I believe last month I reported about my meeting with the county manager with the training of the new employees. So we are have been working with Human Resources to start with the new training of new employees in July. So this July is their first rollout of their new orientation system. I mean, if you all remember, we lost our HR director at the end of last year, and then we had an interim, and now we have a permanent, and she's redoing the whole orientation makeup.
That's good.
So we will be doing in-person, or the plan, right now, they're still tweaking it, is to do in-person training for all new employees on every first pay period of Monday of each month. So it'll be twice a month, basically. The county manager had the same concerns I did, which is same concerns of HR director, which people are coming, getting hired, but not getting any training for up to 3-4 weeks. Even county and training on their policies. So now it will be where we're catching them as they come in the door. The ethics department will have our own slot per se, but we're providing that in-person training. And the way we're doing it is if it's a small number of people, say 3 or 4, they want every department to have a backup video because they don't want to pull people to train 3 people when they can just have them go through a module similar to what we were just talking about. So we talked about how we currently use what I showed you all for elections. They said that will be perfect. So that way, if they have a small number, a big number, everybody's getting trained as they're coming in the door. Their first day on the job would be that first Monday. So it went very well. We will be doing that testing on June 24th. They call it a soft run. And hopefully we'll be getting our new employees very soon. And that will satisfy their first 1 year of training. Any questions?
No.
That concludes my updates.
All right. So that concludes section E. Are there any general things that we need to discuss or talk about while we're here?
I'm just curious. I know we touched on it last time. I know we have a hearing coming at the end of July for the additional ethics complaints that were in need of hearings. I guess we can kind of like, since we're only meeting once a month, if we can get a general update on where we stand, because I know they've been lingering for quite some time.
So we talked about that last meeting. That's why we chose 2 days. So that we can.
That's what I thought. 'Cause
Yeah.
when you were saying we're not gonna use the whole 5, I'm like, we may, because we have other hearings. Okay.
That was the point of the 2 days, where we can try to get them all in during that time frame. I suspect that we can probably get them all done within those 2 days, to be honest. What we're doing is we're sending out, our employees sending out notices 2 weeks ahead of time. I know one with the private attorney, so they're notified ahead of time. In addition to that, we already have kind of gone through what order I want to present them in. The election is over. That was one that we kind of had to squeeze in. We don't have to really worry about that given the results of the election. But I suspect all outstanding cases will be resolved between these 2 days.
And the hearing officer is available for both days.
Yes.
Perfect.
And so far, all of the witnesses I have contacted thus far have been available.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that we can discuss? All right, if not, I call a motion for the meeting to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Item E. That's what we discussed, right? The board discussion of vote. Oh,
Oh, we're
okay.
gonna vote.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Are you all tabling the vote?
Do you want to table the vote or?
Well, it looks as if we have to have this is valid until July the 21st, but we'll meet before that time, correct?
We'll have it, July.
All right. Okay, so if we can get a motion to table this until our July 9th meeting, hopefully by that time, Mr. Simmons and Ms. Cornell will be here and we can have everybody on board with that. So if I can get a motion to table this until our July 9th, right?
Yes,
Yeah, July 9th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have motion made by Ms. Lauren B. Smith,
Second.
second by Ms. Felicia Reno. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, it's 4-1. Put it now.
If there's any other questions that you all want us to get the answers, I know you all mentioned a few. I know Felicia mentioned about the breaks and the pay.
He kind of addressed that because he was saying, and I don't know if you saw when he was doing the demo, he was saying it's tracked their progress. So I'm pretty sure they stop it somewhere. But that's a good question to ask though. He said in the demo that they track the progress.
I would also would want to see quotes of competing companies just to see where their number lie. I know it's a popular program used by most Fortune 500 companies and even businesses and governments that is and it works. But I think it just the way we do things, I guess, in government, just to see what those competing bids look like. Of other.
This is the only company I have found that does like specific ethics training. I don't know.
I tried to find one and I only reached out to Know4U and they only do cyber. They don't do ethics.
I know there's some Scribble company that does. You ever seen where they do, it's almost like an animated version of your words, right? So you can do the questions you can do, and it's almost like they're drawing it as you're talking, so it holds your attention a little bit more, and it kind of moves from image to image. I know that it may not be specifically ethics, but it still may have.
There's a lot of AI
Right.
assisted.
Incorporated to help in images and things of that nature that could help.
And I'll reach out to Aquila and Aquila work in HR, but she may know some programs or some resources that we can look into too.
My biggest thing with that would be the interest in it actually having the case management side of it, of being able to do the training and have the case management. Because if you're having complaints run through, like if they have that software capability.
I'm gonna do the backdoor of analytics.
Yeah,
Most of the programs I use for real estate, the analytics, we have a lot of backdoor analytics.
yeah. So that would be.
And getting a quote to see whether it would be presented.
I would just,
Well, yeah, to see if that's what we're gonna end up using to train all of the employees, it would make more sense if we're investigating complaints as well, like to have the whole platform be set up to where you're keeping up with, whatever Gloria's system that you keep track of case management with.
Contract with that.
We've got that 3-year contract. Seven to then 1.7.
I don't know if that's possible since we're on the contract with the other company.
That contract with them for 3 years.
All right. That's no more discussion. On the motion to adjourn,
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
should made by Ms. Ethel McCormick. Second by Ms. Lauren B. Smith. Meeting adjourned.